She was behind the counter, wearing an apron, a sarcastic grin, and the kind of messy bun that made me believe in higher powers. I accidentally asked out my barista. Now we're somehow engaged? Part 1. The smoothest disaster ever. Hi Reddit. My name's Alex. I'm 20 years old, painfully average in most categories, and studying computer science at a university where the Wi-Fi has more personality than half the student body. I work part-time at a tech repair kiosk, love terrible action movies, and, up until recently, had the romantic game of a wet sponge. Now I'm engaged to a woman I accidentally asked out while ordering a cappuccino with almond milk. So, yeah. Let me explain. It all started on a Monday, not a good Monday either. I was running on 4 hours of sleep, thanks to a blackout binge of late-night Reddit scrolling, and a quick GTA 5 session that somehow became a 6-hour digital crime spree. I'd overslept, missed my first lecture, lost my left AirPod somewhere in my backpack, which turned out to be in my sock, and I realized halfway to campus that my hoodie smelled like the onion rings I stress ate the night before. I needed coffee. Now, I don't usually go to fancy coffee shops because I'm a broke student, and I believe instant coffee builds character. But that morning, desperation trumped pride, and I walked into Bean Me Up, Brew Tea, the trendiest, hipsterest coffee joint within 5 blocks. And that's when I saw her. She was behind the counter, wearing an apron, a sarcastic grin, and the kind of messy bun that made me believe in higher powers. Her name tag said, Jamie, and under it, someone had drawn a tiny dinosaur saying, "Roar means I love you" in coffee. I immediately lost the ability to form coherent human sentences. "Hey, what can I get you?" she said, in a voice that could probably start cults. What I meant to say was, "Hi, could I please have a medium almond milk cappuccino?" What I actually said was, "Hi, could I please have, your number?" Yup, I said that. Without thinking, with zero game, in front of a line of people who all suddenly became very interested in this potential romantic train wreck. There was a beat of silence. She blinked at me. The espresso machine hissed like it too was judging me. Then she smirked. "You want that hot or iced?" Your cappuccino," she clarified, clearly enjoying my suffering. "Oh, right, hot, definitely hot. I mean, you're hot. No, I mean the drink, Jesus." I wanted to crawl into a trash bin and set myself on fire. To her eternal credit, she didn't call security. Instead, she made my drink with terrifying focus, while I tried to casually pretend my own soul wasn't leaving my body. When she handed me the cup, it had a phone number on the sleeve, and beneath it, she'd written, "Next time, ask with confidence." I walked out of that cafe like I had just defused a bomb and won an Oscar simultaneously. I texted her that night. "The comfortable seemings by here with me. Hey, it's Alex, the human disaster from the cafe. Looking appearance of huge understart. You'll have to be more specific. I meet a lot of disasters." And just like that, it began. Now, you should know something about Jamie. She's the kind of woman who can make sarcasm feel like affection. She has zero patience for pretentious people, but endless patience for old dogs, slow computers, and me. Our first official date was chaotic in the best way. She chose a mini golf course. I thought, cool, how hard can it be? Answer, very hard, especially when she brings her own golf glove, claims she's out of practice, and proceeds to destroy me like she's Tiger Woods on a sugar high. I lost by 14 strokes. She gloated for 3 solid days and even made a little trophy out of a broken pencil and a marshmallow. That's when I realized I was absolutely screwed. The second date? Even weirder. She invited me over for homemade pasta night. I brought wine. She brought her pet bearded dragon named Jeff Goldblum. We cooked. I nearly set her curtains on fire, and somehow we ended up on her couch, eating overcooked spaghetti and watching Shrek 2, while Jeff climbed across my shoulder like I was his new jungle gym. It was perfect. By the third date, we were finishing each other's sentences, high-fiving over dumb puns and mock-arguing about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It is, don't fight me. Part 2. Meeting the parents, car karaoke, and one very suspicious parrot. You know how people say relationships get real when you meet the parents? Well, Reddit, let me tell you something. Nothing prepares you for meeting your girlfriend's family while your jeans are soaked in orange soda and you're carrying a box labeled Jamie's weirdest childhood crap because she forgot it in the trunk of my car. Let's rewind. It had been 5 months since Jamie and I started dating, and things were absurdly great. We had fallen into a rhythm, our rhythm. Weekends meant movie nights or failed baking experiments. Don't ask about the pumpkin lasagna. Weekdays meant flirty texts and random Target runs where we pretended to be middle-aged suburban parents shopping for throw pillows. Life was weird. Life was good. So naturally, fate decided it was time to throw a wrench into our bliss. One afternoon, Jamie dropped the bomb. "So, my parents are in town next weekend? I want you to meet them." Cue immediate full-body panic. To clarify, I wanted to meet her parents. I just wanted to meet them at a time when I wasn't one forgotten shower away from smelling like corn chips and anxiety. But Jamie was excited. She even cleaned her apartment, which she only did when royalty or tax auditors were involved. "They're really chill," she said. "Just don't mention politics, pineapple on pizza, or the incident with the inflatable flamingo in 2006. That was not reassuring. Saturday arrived. I wore a button-up shirt I stole from my roommate's closet because it smelled like confidence. I brought flowers. I even rehearsed polite conversation topics like a human adult. Then came the orange soda incident. We were in the car. Jamie had brought a giant plastic container full of old childhood junk to show her mom. Stuff like her grade school art, a melted snow globe, and a Beanie Baby with one eyeball. The container tipped during a sharp turn. I tried to catch it. The soda bottle in the cup holder fell, exploded open, and covered my entire lap. "Oh my God!" Jamie gasped, laughing so hard she nearly drove us into a mailbox. "You look like you peed radioactive Fanta!" I was not okay. When we arrived, her parents were waiting in the doorway like an adorable but mildly intimidating judgment panel. Her dad was tall, had one eyebrow perpetually raised, and wore a shirt that said Grill Sergeant. Her mom looked like she just stepped out of a catalog called Eternally Patient Mothers Who Know Everything. I tried to shake her dad's hand. He hugged me instead. I accidentally called her mom ma'am, and she replied, "Don't do that. I'm not that old. Yet." Promising start. Dinner was surprisingly fun. We had barbecue. Her dad told stories about Jamie trying to create a squirrel circus when she was 6. Her mom shared a photo album that included a picture of Jamie in a full banana costume. "Delete me," Jamie whispered across the table. But then came the real test. The family parrot.
Its name was Einstein.
It was 25 years old, crusty, rude, and probably smarter than me. It perched in the corner like a little feathered godfather, silently judging. Jamie had warned me. He only likes 3 people. I'm not one of them. Halfway through dessert, Einstein said, idiot in a perfect imitation of a grumpy man. Her dad cackled. Then the bird looked directly at me and screeched, "Too much hair gel." Everyone lost it. For the record, I had not used gel. It was natural fluff. But thanks, Einstein. Thanks a lot. Despite the parrot's savage commentary, the evening ended well. Her mom even hugged me goodbye and whispered, "You're a good one. Weird, but good." I'll take it. Now let's talk about karaoke. No, not the normal fun kind. I'm talking car karaoke, where Jamie belts out 2000s hits with the intensity of a pop star on her farewell tour and drags me in with her. She has exactly two moods when driving. Chill indie music while sipping iced coffee, Beyoncé possessed by a caffeinated demon. One night we were stuck in traffic and she pulled up "Since You've Been Gone" by Kelly Clarkson. Before I could even brace myself, she shouted, "This is our duet." Then she rolled down the windows at a red light next to a car full of high school students. Jamie started screaming lyrics into a spoon she keeps in the cup holder for emergencies. I tried to disappear into my seat, but she yanked my hand like we were recreating a concert from 2004. By the time we hit the second chorus, a guy in the next car actually clapped. I should have been humiliated, but you know what? I wasn't. It was one of the best nights of my life. Fast forward a month, and we had our first real fight. It was about something dumb. It always is. I'd forgotten our lunch date because I got caught up fixing a coding bug. She showed up to the diner. I didn't. She didn't yell. She just said, "You made me feel like I wasn't important." That stung. I apologized, profusely, offered to make it up to her with Thai food, foot massages, and one of those apology playlists full of sad indie boys with beards. She forgave me. But it made me realize something. This wasn't just fun anymore. It was real. Real meant messing up. Real meant fixing it. Real meant choosing each other, even on the rough days. A week later, we took a mini trip to a cabin her friend owned. It was rustic, had spotty Wi-Fi, and a suspiciously large squirrel population. We played board games, roasted marshmallows, and talked about stuff we hadn't said out loud before, like fears and goals and weird childhood memories. "Sometimes I feel like I'm just faking being an adult," I told her. "Same," she said. "But at least we're faking it together." That night, we fell asleep on the couch, tangled in a blanket, with a half-eaten bag of popcorn between us. And I realized something else. I didn't just love her. I wanted to build a life with her. Of course, I didn't say that out loud. Not yet. But I started thinking about it. Like, really thinking. Could we do this forever? Could I survive decades of car karaoke, sarcastic birds, and flamingo incidents? Weirdly, yes. In fact, I didn't just think I could. I kinda wanted to. Part 3. Proposal pranks, passport problems, and the baby goat incident.
لیشرخات هبلاف مزار سبت صوت ملاميس.
So we were a year into dating. At this point, Jamie and I had reached the you can fart in front of each other without shame level of intimacy, which is deeper than love if we're being honest. We'd also
Игой баксе.
shared an Amazon Prime account, dangerous.
Тожден дирен интегандари. Холс кичнат.
Gotten each other's weird food orders memorized.
Дебато самана носоно смесе.
Hers fries and ranch, mine spicy ramen and regret.
So куре маске дерестер мемозео.
And survived 3 couples game nights without breaking up. Miraculous. We were thriving. Naturally, I decided to ruin everything by faking a proposal. Let me explain. It was April Fool's Day. Yes, I'm that guy. I'm the one who once replaced my roommate's Oreos with toothpaste. I'm the guy who swapped the M and N keys on my coworker's keyboard and watched him question reality for 2 hours. Jamie, however, had warned me. "If you prank me," she said one night while painting her nails, "you better be ready to sleep in a hammock, outside, in winter." Naturally, I listened. And still did it anyway. Here was the setup. We went to our favorite restaurant, the same one where we had our third date, the night we both ordered the same weird drink, and the waiter said, "Wow, you two really are annoying." I had the staff in on it. We ordered dessert, and when the waiter brought out the creme brulee, it had a fake ring inside. Jamie gasped. The whole restaurant went quiet. I stood up, walked over dramatically, took her hand and said, "Jamie, will you do me the honor of pretending to marry me just for tonight so I can finally get the waiter to stop asking when we're getting engaged?" She blinked. Then she took the fake ring, slipped it on, and replied, deadpan, "Only if we can get matching Crocs after." The place lost it. The waiter started clapping. Some random lady at another table said,
"Young love is so beautiful,"
and teared up. It was chaos. After the dinner, Jamie pulled me aside in the parking lot. You know that was wildly irresponsible, right? Yes. And also incredibly hilarious? Also yes. She punched my arm, kissed me and said, "When you actually propose, it better involve real dessert and 0 fake rings." Duly noted. We didn't talk about engagement seriously for a while, but the joke kind of lingered in the background. Every time someone asked, "So, when's the big day?" we'd give each other looks like, "Well?" But things started to shift when we planned a trip to Canada together. Now, you need to understand something crucial here. I am a mess when it comes to travel. I am the guy who shows up at the airport 5 hours early just to make sure I don't miss my flight that's inevitably delayed. Jamie, on the other hand, packs 15 minutes before departure, forgets socks, and somehow still looks like a human Pinterest board. So, when I realized I'd lost my passport the night before our flight, I genuinely thought that might be the end of us. I tore apart my apartment. Jamie arrived mid-panic and found me halfway inside my laundry hamper, muttering about international exile. She didn't yell. She didn't freak out. She sat on the floor next to me and said, "Okay, worst case, we don't go. Second worst case, we find a guy named Todd who makes fake passports out of cereal boxes. Either way, we're together." I looked at her, this chaotic, fearless, beautiful person, and I just blurted out, "I think I want to marry you someday." She blinked, then smiled. "Cool. Just don't lose the ring like you lost your passport." I found the passport 2 hours later, in the freezer. Don't ask. Fast forward 2 months. We went to a petting zoo on a whim because Jamie had never fed a baby goat before and claimed this was a crucial life milestone. We were surrounded by screaming toddlers, scattered hay, and one goat that kept aggressively trying to eat my shoelaces. Jamie was holding a lamb. I was covered in goat spit. And then she turned to me and said, "You still thinking about that whole marriage thing?" "Yeah." "Cool. Same." We didn't make it a big moment. No fireworks, no violins, just 2 sweaty 20-somethings standing in a petting zoo, realizing they wanted to annoy each other for the rest of their lives. 3 days later, I bought the real ring. 2 weeks after that, I proposed. For real. On the roof of our apartment building, under Christmas lights we borrowed from the neighbors, with dessert from the restaurant where we'd fake proposed. She cried, I cried. The raccoon from the alley made unsettling eye contact. She said, yes. Now, we're engaged. And it's weird. Not in a bad way, just in a, wow, how did we get here kind of way. We still fight over dumb stuff. We still get weird looks when we perform full Beyoncé duets at stoplights. But now there's this quiet, comforting knowing that we're in this together. Like, for real. I think that's love. Not the grand gestures or Instagram-worthy moments, but the everyday stuff. The late-night pizza runs. The Target arguments about curtains. The way she says dude when she's mad and I call her boss when I'm guilty. We're just two weird people who found each other in the middle of life's chaos. And somehow, that's everything. Part 4. Flamingos, Fiascos, and Forever. Let me start by saying this. We should not have had a flamingo at the wedding. I know how that sounds. But when your fiancé says the words, I want something memorable, and you jokingly reply with, how about a flamingo in a bow tie? And then she says, oh my God, yes. You're already halfway to Flamingo Town before you realize what's happening. But I'll come back to that. Let's rewind a little. So the proposal happened. Jamie said yes. The raccoon in the alley nodded approvingly, I think. And suddenly, we were that couple. You know who I mean. The ones who start sentences with, our caterer said, or, when we toured the venue, and make all their single friends want to throw soup. I never wanted to be that guy. But somehow, I found myself debating flower arrangements with the same intensity I usually reserve for fantasy football. Jamie, of course, was thriving. She had spreadsheets, color swatches, a Pinterest board titled Operation No Ugly Weddings. My only job? Don't screw this up. Planning the wedding was like assembling IKEA furniture, blindfolded, with instructions in Swedish, and the pieces occasionally catching fire. Every decision felt like life or death. DJ or band, buffet or plated dinner. Do we invite Uncle Greg, even though he once tried to sell CBD oil at Grandma's funeral? We did. And yes, he brought samples, again. But despite the chaos, there was something kind of beautiful about watching it all come together. It was like building a tiny kingdom, made of fairy lights, folded napkins, and passive-aggressive family dynamics. And every time I got overwhelmed, Jamie would look at me, squeeze my hand, and say, hey, we're doing this, you and me. That helped. Even when the florist ghosted us, or when the best man accidentally shaved one eyebrow the week before the wedding. He said it was symbolic. No one knows what he meant. Now, let's talk about the flamingo. Somewhere during month 3 of planning, Jamie got obsessed with the idea of a whimsical vibe. Not too traditional, she said. Something people will remember. My first suggestion was cardboard cutouts of Danny DeVito at every table. Shot down. My second suggestion was having the officiant dress as a pirate. Also shot down. Then came the joke about flamingos. Jamie lit up like a kid on Christmas. You're kidding, she said. But imagine, a real flamingo, standing near the altar, like a pink, feathery best man. I laughed. She didn't. 3 weeks later, we had a permit, a handler named Sasha, and a 4-foot-tall flamingo named Bernie, with the personality of a cranky tax accountant. The wedding day arrived. Sunny, breezy, birds chirping, Bernie squawking. I stood at the altar, trying not to sweat through my tux. The guests were seated, phones ready. My mom was crying before anything even started. Bernie pecked at a flower arrangement and almost knocked over the unity candle. Then Jamie appeared, and everything else disappeared. She wore this flowing, off-shoulder dress that made her look like she stepped out of a Jane Austen novel and into my ridiculous life. Her smile was half nerves, half mischief. She reached me, took my hands. We were both shaking. The ceremony was mostly traditional, except for the vows. I went first. Jamie, I swear to always split the last fry with you, even when I want it. I swear to always check the locks twice, because I know you'll ask. I swear to keep laughing with you, even when life is an absolute mess. And I swear that I will never, ever prank you again, without a 10-day warning. She burst out laughing and crying, which made everyone else cry too. Her vows? Alex, I promise to keep your passport out of the freezer. I promise to support your dumb ideas, but only the ones that don't involve superglue. I promise to love you through flamingos, fender benders, and whatever weird hobby you pick up next. You're my home, my favorite problem, my best yes. Even Bernie made a happy squawk. After the ceremony, we had the reception in a converted barn, strung with Edison bulbs and fake ivy. It was kind of rustic, kind of romantic, and entirely us. There were speeches. Jamie's dad told a story about the time she cut her own bangs and blamed the cat. My best man did a PowerPoint presentation titled, "Why Jamie Deserves Better," that ended with a meme of us riding flamingos into the sunset. People laughed. People cried. Uncle Greg handed out CBD pamphlets. The first dance was a surprise. Instead of the slow waltz we'd practiced, badly, Jamie whispered, "Just follow my lead." Suddenly, the music changed to Uptown Funk and we broke into the worst choreographed dance of all time. I nearly dropped her during a failed spin. She stepped on my foot. Bernie flapped so hard he knocked over a chair. It was perfect, because it was us. By the end of the night, my tux jacket was missing, my hair was a mess, and Jamie had frosting on her nose from the cake. We stood outside the barn, just the two of us, barefoot on the grass, watching fireflies blink around us like fairy dust. "Married," I said. "Very married," she replied. "You sure about this?" "Not even a little, but that's what makes it fun." We kissed under the stars while Bernie honked indignantly in the background. So yeah, that's the story of how I accidentally asked out my barista, how we survived fake proposals, passport mishaps, and one very uncooperative flamingo. We're not a perfect couple. We fight about laundry, she hogs the blankets, I still leave cabinet doors open like a monster. But every day, we choose each other. We choose laughter over ego, playfulness over pride, Crocs over common sense. And that, I think, is what real love is. Not flawless, just fearless. Even with flamingos. To see more stories, go to my channel, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you don't miss our videos. And be sure to send it to a friend, because watching is better than reading. All stories are real stories of people from the Reddit platform.